From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
How are you?
Hey Kate, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome.
Awesome.
How are
Thank you.
you?
Good. Thank you so much for doing this. It really means a lot to me.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Um, I was just saying in the opening remarks how like important this interview is for me because I really admire you because you're like the struggling artist's dream Cinderella story,
Right.
so I
Totally. I feel like the poster child for like hang in there. You
yeah. So
know,
I wanted to ask you about that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, no, we're recording. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I could hear you just fine. I can't see you, but that's
Oh,
fine.
I'm sorry. No, no.
Oh, uh,
Sorry about that. Oh
oh,
yeah.
hey, Kate.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I kind of am the poster child for hang in there. It's okay to work more than one job when you're going after your dream, and it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Hang in there, and the best is yet to come. Also, sometimes we get things a little bit later than we plan, and it doesn't mean that they're not on the menu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I do stand up and of course I want to do acting and stuff, but I'm 36 and my family always like kind of makes little digs that I haven't made done anything yet. And it's like,
Dude, yeah,
success comes in all different, forms. So that's how I look at it.
absolutely. And I feel like, I know my family was sort of scratching their head a little bit. Right before I got the office was the first time my dad ever said to me, "You sure you don't want to do something else?" He never said that to me. But I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh no!" Even he is like worried. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably like 6 months before I got the office. So sometimes it happens, like kind of when you feel like you're almost at the end of your rope. Then,
Oh no, definitely. I get
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah, it's kind of a classic. Yeah.
has your family ever said, "Hey, are you ever going to be successful before I die?" or something like that?
You know what? That was just, I mean, nobody else. I mean, I'm sure they were talking uh, shit about me behind my back, but not to my face. So that's good. I'd had a lot of yeses. Like I was at Second City. I had done off Broadway. I had good reviews. I had a lot of yeses. It just wasn't, enough to make a living, and
Yeah.
whatever. I wasn't going to do anything else because I was living my dream. And when I got the office, I was doing my comedy act like every Saturday, sometimes more than once a week, but definitely had a standing date. We did that show for 5 years, every Saturday. And then, I was like inviting people. I was testing for stuff. I was guest starring. I was co-starring. I was doing stuff, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't quite
Yeah.
enough. I felt like it was in the right direction. So I feel like if you have enough yeses and you feel like you understand your if you can accept where you are and accept like what your journey is, because I always say the best way to be in this journey is to be pleasantly persistent. If you can't be pleasant, ugh, it's tough because
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. I know everything about persistence.
but if you can't be pleasant during it, like if you're kind of, pissy or jealous, I mean, that doesn't mean I don't get pissy and jealous now, because sometimes I do, but it's very rare. And, I keep myself in check very quickly. I have a great life. I have a great career. It may not be someone else's career. I just have to stop comparing myself to other people. Compare and despair. That's what I say. Don't compare. Comparison is the thief of joy. I did not make that up. That is old school.
Yeah, definitely. I also wanted to say thank you so much for dropping the restraining order for this because I've been
I think it's not
persistent.
going to go up. Back up. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I wanted to ask you about Second City though, because like when you started, I'm assuming you went to the Second City in Chicago, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was in the training center, and then I got hired by the touring company. So when I was there were a lot of people that were there that but they were not famous.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So was that like hard for you? Because I did a couple of classes at the Groundlings and I just improv just wasn't really my thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I loved improv. I love working out of improv. We wrote a lot of shows out of improv, which is kind of how that, it just sort of keeps you, there's a muscle that you have to keep alive. And when I would do my comedy act, there was a lot of it that was improvised. So like the lampshades, part of it was improvised and some of it was scripted and we would kind of bounce around, but we always kind of knew where to lean back to. So I love improv and I just love the idea of being an ensemble member and trusting other people and being there for other people. And I feel like as one of 7 kids, I was born into an ensemble.
Yeah.
And the office, like, getting to sit there and even if I didn't talk for a while, I had a place, I had a seat, I was in it. Sometimes I would get a laugh just from the camera looking at me. I like my line would get cut sometimes and I would still get a laugh. So it's not a bad way to live your life. Let me just tell
No,
you.
no, definitely. And then I wanted to ask you about the Second City, like, because I heard that you also had an audition for SNL. I want to know what
Yeah,
was that
I was
like?
for SNL. Lauren Michaels came to see a show that I was in with 5 other women, and 4 of us were being considered. So I had lunch with Lauren, and it's tough because 2 of my friends got it, and there were two of us that didn't. And you want to be happy for your friend, but you also feel like, oh my God, did I just blow it? Because this was my dream.
Right.
Um, but I think like thanks to therapy and just being persistent, because I know that idea, that concept has taken people down. And even when sometimes people just get one season, they sometimes get taken down in a way that kind of ruins their whole vision of their life. And I just feel like it does for me, even though what that dream went away, I realized that to be acknowledged by SNL and by Lauren Michaels is a big deal.
Yeah.
They don't see a lot of people. They really
No,
don't.
no,
They
they
come
don't.
after
Yeah.
you, you don't come after them. So the fact that I was even in the mix to be on the show was such a gift. And it actually, that fueled me, like, thanks to therapy. And I actually ran into Lauren Michaels' right-hand man at the time, Mike Shoemaker, probably, oh my God, it was probably like 12 years later. Because I didn't get the office till 13 short years after my SNL consideration. But he was with Tina Fey. Mike Shoemaker was with Tina Fey at the restaurant where I was working, and he's like, "Oh my God, Kate!" And I didn't even I was so busy at the time, I didn't even recognize him. And he was like, "Hey, it's me, Mike." And he's become a big late night producer. He produces Seth Meyers and he produced Jimmy Fallon before he went to the Tonight Show. He's the real deal, just a great, great, great guy. And he's like, "Don't give up. I don't." So, just having like a few people that are like giving you yeses and also just like continuing to put yourself out there in shows and in comedy clubs. And, for me, like it was really important for me to step up because my friends were becoming famous. If they weren't giving me a job, then it was my job to figure out how to, be creative and put myself in a spot to be seen.
Well,
So, yeah.
so like the SNL thing, like that was your dream, but also you've also accomplished that dream too because you appeared in an episode of
No,
SNL.
it was just my voice. I was
Oh,
on
it wasn't.
I was
Oh,
with Rex Michaels, used to have Saturday TV Funhouse, and we did
yeah,
a Charlie Brown Christmas episode that was like very insane. It was a parody of it, and I got to play Lucy, and
yeah.
Amy was Sally. It was really fun.
It
Yeah.
still counts though. You were on
No, no,
SNL.
no, no, no. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about like Steve Carell was like the ambiguously gay duo with Stephen Colbert. They did that for years. Those
Uh,
cartoons, so funny.
so you were waitressing when you got the office, and now how was that audition like? Because didn't you replace somebody?
Well, initially I auditioned for the part of Jan and I didn't get it. So they shot the pilot without me. And that was February. And then in August, I got another audition for a different part and it was kind of nameless. And yeah, apparently I replaced somebody from the pilot, which is always weird when you replace somebody because then you realize that you're replaceable. So I was kind of nervous when we were shooting that first season. I just kept thinking, so I actually kept my restaurant job because I was just afraid if I got canned, I didn't want to look for a new job. I was 40 and I was like, screw that. I got
Yeah.
good shifts. So I covered my shifts during the week and I worked my Sunday brunch. And I
Uh,
always had my uniform in my car just in case I got, I had to go in.
That's the smart way to do it, because
Well,
I
you have
still
to
have my
use
day job.
right, and you have to use common sense. It's like there was a book that was really big in the 90s and it's still popular and it's a great book called The Artist's Way, but there's a line in it that says, "Do what you love, the money will follow." Dude, I can't tell you how many people I knew that were like, "I don't have to work. I'm just going to put money on my credit card." Like that is not what that means.
Yeah.
What it means is do what you love, make sure you pay your bills, make sure you're functional in the world, and you're not waiting for some job to rescue you from this debt. And the money does follow, but you have to work really hard and you have to be smart.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah, you can't pretend like, this, whatever. I just think that there's this, um, and people think that there's an invisible line that you cross and suddenly like everything's great and you don't have to worry about anything. I feel like success brings more issues, because it's a lot to navigate. So the better you do before you're famous, the better you do when you're famous,
Yeah, I could see that because like
Yeah.
I toured with Norm Macdonald for 9 years, and
Oh, dude.
he always told me that he does like I was making lots of money with him, like most
Yeah,
money I've ever seen, and he
totally.
told me he doesn't want me to quit my day job because he doesn't want to take care of me.
I
So
get that, but that's actually a respectful thing to do,
yeah,
that really is, because, you know, he's basically he basically made sure that you were in reality, you know.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, things change and, you don't, whatever. I just, I feel like, NBC was my employer, but really God's my employer. Like the universe is my employer. It's not just one thing. Like it's got you can't, that it just, you have to trust that other things come up and that, you will continue and it's not just about one person keeping you in the black, like
Yeah.
financially solvent.
So when you were on The Office, like, was it season 2 or season 3 where you felt comfortable say, "Hey, I'm gonna just do The Office," or how did?
Season two, once we got picked up, I was like, well, I think we just had a short order again, but it kept getting extended. So initially, I just took the leap of faith, and I thought, well, if I have to go back, I could live with that, whatever. But I'm gonna give it my all, and it was just I just thought it was the right thing to do. It felt like the right thing to do, and also, Steve Carell was coming out with the 40-Year-Old Virgin when we started to film season two. The posters were everywhere, and I was like, this guy is the lead of our show. So I feel like,
It's gonna be good.
no, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be okay. I think we're gonna get through. I think we'll get a few years. I never thought it would be what it turned out to be. I knew it was a great show. I didn't know if audiences would agree or if
Uh,
like it was too weird for regular network.
oh,
So
no,
we're really lucky.
it's a great show, and I also feel it's like one of those shows that really saved a lot of people during the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, people felt like they couldn't go to their real office, so they came to ours. So
Yeah.
it actually made people feel better. So, oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like it's the weirdest concept, but it's so awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, super. I mean, I feel so lucky to be on a show that people still revere and love and depend on to make them feel better on a regular basis. I mean, it's a big responsibility. And so I feel like, if someone stops me, I always listen. Like I always appreciate the feedback. I'm on the team and I'm representing the team. So it's not really about me. It's about all of us and just putting some goodwill out in the world, which
Do
we
you
need.
do you think that part of the show's success too was because like you said at the time Steve Carell was just getting the 4-year-old virgin, so like he wasn't super famous, but he was kind of famous. But like everyone else, it seems like it was a team effort, and you guys got famous together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And all of us, I mean, that's the thing that I feel like made us it just made the set so much better because we didn't have that element of like the higher it was like a family and the hierarchy was there, but it was very subtle, which is very rare. Usually the hierarchy is very obvious and you have to be careful where you step. And there was none of that. We were just, all just treated like we were a team, which is amazing.
Yeah. And how long in the show did you feel comfortable where maybe you could like improv some stuff and it made the show?
Season one, I actually improvised a little bit. The healthcare episode, that's the first time I improvised. We didn't improvise that much, I have to tell you. It was just really here and there, but I felt good that they kept the improv, and we had a couple takes and I felt like I was finding something. It was when Meredith says um uh uterus is different from a vagina. I still have a vagina. That was my yeah,
Yeah.
that was not in the script. Well, NBC was sort of fighting with the showrunner to, like, they were a little uncomfortable with the sentence and they were fighting to keep it in late. I found out later when they were submitting the episodes before they aired. So I was so glad that stayed in.
But and then like you did your own stunts, except you didn't light your hair on fire, right? Because
Yeah, there's a
I
couple.
want to do that.
Yeah, we always had stunt doubles, except for I think the only time we didn't was when I got hit by a car. It was just something they were trying out to see if it would work. So we actually didn't, I don't think they hired it that day, but I was fine with that. It was fine. I started on the car and someone pushed me and I hit the glass and then rolled off and landed on
Yeah.
the giant mat below.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you could correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't seen the British version in a long time, but I could have sworn like your character's not in the British version.
It's sort of a compilation of somebody. Actually, now I'm forgetting her name. There was like a baby shower in an episode, and or was it a baby shower or wedding shower? I can't remember. There's somebody that was. It's sort of it's yeah. She's not really represented in the British. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like that was like your baby where like everyone knew you for that. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. I mean, believe me, I love the British version, and I was so nervous about the American version because I thought this is so good, and usually they mess up the American versions.
Oh
At the
yeah.
was like a big thing. Everything they tried was like not good, so we were lucky.
It kind of seemed like it kept like the same tone in it. You know what I mean?
Really,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I think Michael Scott obviously had more heart than David Brent. David Brent was tough. So yeah, but I think that was the magic of the show. And also, Jim and Pam have heart. Like, I just feel like comedy with intelligence, where they treat the audience with intelligence and don't tell them when to laugh. I think that's why kids plug in so quickly, because if they're smart, they get it, and it becomes, this wonderful thing to rewatch, to find different things and what we're doing in the background and kind of who we are and who we become. And it's a nice
Yeah.
little.
Now, when you were on the show, did you still like go around and do comedy or did you just focus on
I
the
still
show?
had my comedy act. Yeah, I did it. I actually did it the whole time I was in the office. I
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't do it every week though necessarily. I did it a few times a month. I mean, sometimes more depending on the month. But I think the first 2 years I still did every Saturday, and then and then after that, actually it wasn't even my decision. I had a comedy partner, Scott Robinson. The actor's called the Lampshades, and he got busy, so he couldn't do every Saturday. So it wasn't even me. I would have done it because it's just great to have an act where you write yourself and you get to be in front of an audience and you understand like the roadmap of what you're doing. Because
Yeah,
obviously, the great thing about comedy is if you're not doing it right, right away because the audience is telling you right away.
that's true.
Yeah, so it was, yeah, but we did a lot of comedy festivals, and we opened for a lot of comedy cover bands because we used to do music mashups from the 70s and 80s. And so we opened for like the Dan Band and Garfunkel and Oates, and
Oh my
um,
God.
yeah, like Puddle's Pity Party and Richard Cheese, and we oh my God, and we just did tons of benefits. It was pretty nuts.
Have you ever thought about doing your own one woman show type thing?
I have, yeah. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but yeah, because I also tour with Jane Lynch.
Yeah.
We have a two-person kind of concert that we do with a five-piece band, the Tony Guerrero Quintet, and we do a Christmas tour from our Christmas album with Tony Guerrero and Tim Davis, and that's always really fun. We do that every December, November, December, and that's a blast. And
Yeah.
Jane and I get to play the Kennedy Center and the Carlisle Hotel. We did a residency there. We just hosted a benefit a couple nights ago for Alzheimer's here in LA, and we got to sing with the band again. That was so fun to, it's just a joy. But I do want to do a one-person show. I'm a little bit like, oh God, I like working with other people.
Yeah.
So it's I'm sort of my biggest critic, which is a big fault. So yeah, I think I have to get some cojones.
I think you would be great. I mean,
yeah. Well, I'll let you know if it's great.
you,
I don't know.
also
Yeah, it'll be.
You also strike me as someone who'd be very good at stand-up too. So like,
Well, I actually hosted a female stand-up show for 2 years on the TV Guide network. It's called Stand Up in Stilettos, the worst name ever. But we had some really great female talent, like we had great people. And it was when a few people started, like, Michelle Buteau and Jamie Lee, who's one of the writers on Ted Lasso. And we had like Carol Leifer, who's one of the writers on Hacks, who used to write for Seinfeld, and Retta from Parks and Rec. And it was just we had Maria Bamford. We just had great people, and a lot of women that are just, out there, Tammy Pescatelli, so many great stand-ups. And I was really happy to be a part of that show.
yeah. And then you also did talent scouting for Last Comic Standing. So
yeah, I did a couple episodes. That was really fun, but it was so hard when people weren't good. It's like having had an act, like you have to be honest with people. You have to tell them, it's not going well, but boy, it's kind of like I didn't realize right before we started, like, oh no, what have I done? I don't want to, oh boy.
Did you ever hurt people's like dreams by like saying they weren't?
Hopefully you just tell them to, like, get some help with the writing, or maybe take a class, because you're yelling instead of, like, dealing with the audience. It's a give and take, and it's an exchange, and you got to figure out what your persona is. And, there's just a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But it was, it's fun. That's the thing. I've definitely been in classes where people have been hard on me. I took classes with Del Close, who was especially tough on the women. But, I think, but the thing is, like, if someone's tough on you, it's a gift if you can handle it. And if you can't, maybe you shouldn't do it. So, save yourself time, but sorry to say.
Well, if you can't handle it, it's still a gift in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's other things you can do. And like I said, it just depends how many yeses you get in life. And if you get enough to keep going, great. But you don't want to be delusional. And,
yeah,
I don't know. Or you just don't want to keep, going to the hardware store for milk. If you don't have it, you got to figure out what you're getting.
Yeah, you gotta figure a new store.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I like what you say, how like it's all about, yeses in life, but you can't be delusional, because I feel like every yes you get is progress towards, like, I feel like being an artist, you're climbing a mountain, and the thing about a mountain is you can still climb it even if you're on the top. A lot of people don't know that, you know what I mean? Because there's more mountains behind them.
Oh yeah, this is true. And also, I think staying up there sometimes is a challenge too. Just, being there for a while, because the air's a little thinner up there. People start to lose their funny when they're on the mountain as they get older. And that's kind of the thing. If their life changes too much, then they lose their perspective, and they're not funny anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's, you want to be relatable. You want to be, you just want to live in the world, if you're or some world that is relatable when you're doing comedy. So
is that one of your biggest fears, that one day you're just gonna like wake up and not be funny anymore?
Maybe, or just like be, or like, break my arm, patting myself on the back. That is a fear.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I feel like, audiences, as there's so much young talent, and obviously, young people are, it's a young person's world, and the business is geared more toward young people. But I just feel like if you're getting older, hopefully everybody doesn't just yes you to death and lie and tell you that you're that you're on the right track when you're not.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you're successful, if you're putting something out there, it's like, it's just, yeah, you want some reality, and you need to be able to take the truth if things aren't going exactly the way you think.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah, I get that. Like we were talking how like, my family makes little comments like, when are you going to be successful? But I look at it and I think I in my form am
Yeah,
successful.
you are. Yeah, you absolutely are. You're living your dream. And
Yeah.
I think that if you're not an artist, it's easy to feel like, because even when I got The Office, I feel like some of my family's like, we watched the whole thing and you didn't talk. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like sometimes it's not enough. Or like, when are you going to be the lead? I'm like, I don't need to be the lead. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I
Bro,
I
you know.
think people get misconstrued because a lead probably only has what, 5 to 10 lifeline years, right? And
Well,
then
yeah, and also I think that a lot of times what happens, especially when a character gets kind of bumped up to talk more, they tend to be more expositional and they tend to be less funny.
yeah,
It's harder to be funny when you have to like get the plot line out. So less is more in my book.
I agree. Uh, Kate, if I ever get a sitcom, I want you to be my mom in it. Will you do that?
Once the restraining order is taken care of, we'll talk.
Okay, cool. I mean, we could drop it when we film, but I mean, but yeah, I just think it would just be so fun. I wanted to ask you about the movie Plan B,
Yeah.
uh, because I love that movie. I love John Heder and I love Jamie Lee. She's one of my favorite comics, and I thought you were great in it. And I
Oh,
wanted to ask, what was that like?
it was so fun to shoot. I'm from Philadelphia. We shot in Marlton, New Jersey, Cherry Hill, right over the bridge. So it was cool to be in the area again. I think I drove right to the shore from there to see my family, and which was awesome. And I have to say, Tom Berenger was in the movie, and um, I got to tell Tom, I got to remind him that we worked together. I was an extra, a featured extra in the movie Eddie and the Cruisers. I don't know if you know this movie. It's one of Tom's early from 1982.
Well, what's it called? I want to write this
Eddie
down.
and the Cruisers, and I was
Eddie.
yeah, and Tom's the star, and it's about a band, and there's actually a video from the movie that's was a big hit. It was a song by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band called "On the Dark Side." Kind of, it's a little Spruce, little bit like Bruce Springsteen. Sounds a little like Bruce Springsteen. I can't talk. I'm not. But anyway, I was like, hey Tom, like. So we made this movie in 2022, and we did this one scene with a lot of extras. And I said, you guys, I just want to say this could be you in 40 short years. Maybe we'll get to work together in a scene in a movie 40 years from now. Because I was an extra 40 years before. It's crazy. It's crazy. Life is crazy. So don't be a douchebag because things come full circle.
And the Tom say, hey, it only took 20 years. So
Well, crazy. It's crazy. But also, I love John Heater, such a sweet guy. He's a twin.
um,
I'm a twin. Like we totally hit it off. I'm such a big Napoleon Dynamite fan. That movie if you haven't seen it in a while, it
it's
holds
one
up.
of the best. Yeah.
It, it will always be one of the best. His performance was genius. Genius.
I don't
Such
know. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to anyway. Maybe it's part of my Asperger's, I guess. But so I tour with TJ Miller right now, and we went to SeaWorld, and for some reason, everybody thought he was John Hader from
oh,
Napoleon Dynamite. So
sure he loved that. Yikes.
so like they're like
Yikes.
fans are asking him to quote Napoleon Dynamite, and TJ's like just he's kind of being nice and doing it, and then he just turns to me. He's like, "I've never even seen Napoleon Dynamite." It's like,
TJ Miller, go see Napoleon Dynamite. What's wrong with you? Oh my
but
God.
it
That's a
was
yeah,
it was
that's
just so funny because he's just
that
like,
suck. That's hilarious. Oh my
uh,
God, that's hilarious. And see, yeah, that's showbiz. Yeah, that's showbiz.
yeah, I get the kid from Two and a Half Men sometimes, and but
Hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, I just did Masked Singer and they were guessing like Catherine O'Hara, who I love Catherine O'Hara so much. I mean, I don't even know how they even came to that because we don't look alike. Sorry, one second,
Oh,
one second.
it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much. Cheers. Thanks. What about you? Dude, I'm so sorry.
No worries. Are we good
Yeah,
on time? I want to respect your time.
Yeah, no, I've got a guy here that's a little, a repair guy that I'm so sorry. I thought he
Okay.
was wait, make him wait for a little bit, but dude,
Uh,
thank you so much. I just want to say, thank you for having me and, to anybody that's out there, just like take care of yourself, take care of your craft, your art, like your ideas, like whatever you want to do. And if your family's driving you crazy, like don't pick up the phone the day that you have, or that right before you have to do something that's scary for you, or
yeah.
so I'm just saying, like, just be careful. And people don't mean to be lousy, but they kind of are, you know. And it
Well,
doesn't, they don't love you. It's just sometimes they're afraid that you're going to change or they don't get it. They just don't get it.
no, I agree. Well, I know you gotta go, but where can the folks at home follow and support you at?
On Instagram at the real Kate Flannery, Facebook at Kate Flannery, and on X at Kate Flannery. And yeah, Jane Lynch and I, we tour every November, December. So if you go to Jane Lynch Official, you'll see our dates there for sure.
All right. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you so much for taking
Thank you
time.
so, hey, take care and keep doing what you're doing.
All right.
Seriously, you're doing great. Take care.
All right. Bye, Kate. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Cool,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thanks.
All right. That was the interview with Kate Flannery. Subscribe, rate, review, and tell a friend.